Among the rolling hills of Montana lies a story of bravery, tragedy, and resilience. A story not just told by words, but by the silent relics left behind. These artifacts, unearthed over the years, offer a glimpse into the lives of the men and women who shaped one of the most significant battles in American history, the Battle of the Little Bighorn. When the dust settled on June 26, 1876, the battlefield was strewn with remnants of a fierce struggle. Weapons, personal belongings, and even the remains of horses and men lay exposed to the elements, each carrying its own tale of that fateful day. These relics are more than just objects. One such relic is this Colt 1860 model revolver, discovered decades later half buried in the riverbank. Its location suggests it may have been dropped by a Sioux or Cheyenne warrior during the heat of battle. At the time, these tribes used a mix of traditional weapons and firearms captured from soldiers, blending old ways with modern technology to fight for their survival. This Springfield trapdoor carbine, a standard issue for U.S. cavalry, was taken from a fallen trooper. It stayed within a Sioux family for generations before resurfacing in the 1950s. Such relics remind us how these weapons carried not only military significance, but also cultural and emotional weight, often becoming heirlooms passed through generations of native families. Not all relics were tools of war. A single boot abandoned on the prairie serves as a stark reminder of the humanity behind the uniforms. These troopers were young men, many barely into their 20s, and their personal items, penknives, pocket watches, and even combs, tell us about the lives they left behind. These items, though mundane, are among the most poignant artifacts from the battlefield. Imagine the camaraderie these men shared before the battle, huddled around campfires sharing stories of home. These small objects are tokens of the lives they had hoped to return to, dreams that ended on that tragic day. On the other side of the battle, Native American warriors left their own indelible mark. These 26 arrows, retrieved from a fallen soldier, symbolize the fierce resistance of the Sioux and Cheyenne. Their skill with bows and arrows, honed over generations, proved devastating against the ill-prepared cavalry. Captured rifles, such as this Springfield carbine, were not just spoils of war but tools of empowerment. They represented the ability of native warriors to adapt quickly to new challenges and use the enemy's technology to defend their land and way of life. The cavalry's reliance on horses was both their strength and their vulnerability. These noble animals carried men into battle, bore their supplies, and often bore the brunt of the fighting. The remains of these horses, scattered across the battlefield, speak of their sacrifices as silent witnesses to the chaos. Fragments of leather tack, horseshoes, and saddles were recovered years later, each telling its own story of a mount that never returned. These relics remind us that the battle's toll extended far beyond humans' lives. In the years following the battle, the Little Bighorn battlefield became a living museum, albeit one that was often exploited. Visitors and treasure hunters took countless relics, stripping the land of its historical treasures. Yet some artifacts remained, hidden beneath the soil, waiting to tell their stories. This 1877 photograph, taken just a year after the battle, shows the earliest attempts to mark where troopers fell. The stakes seen in the image were the precursors to the permanent markers placed later, ensuring that the fallen would not be forgotten. In the decades that followed, archaeologists and historians began uncovering more artifacts, piecing together a clearer picture of what happened during those fateful days. Bullets, uniform buttons, and even knives were found, offering insights into the intensity of the battle and the personal experiences of those who fought. Today, many of these relics are preserved in museums where they serve as educational tools and memorials. They remind us of the complexities of history and the sacrifices made on both sides of the conflict.